guess just jumping into Friday, what's kind of the first area you tackle and you jump right into there?
Jumping right into lives. I mean, our guys have been building up. We've faced hitters already just without a defense and the in and outs. We're still, building guys up with their pitch count, so it's not like we're going to go out there and we might not even finish an inning. It's more so 15 to 20 range per up, and getting those guys to sit down, get back up, building up their arms, and just getting a hitter in the box, putting a defense behind them. Guys getting out of the box and rounding the bags is going to be important too. So just getting their legs underneath them. When we get down there, you're going to be playing 9. The weather's going to be different. The emotions are going to start to ramp up. So we're going to try to simulate a lot of that stuff over these next couple of weeks to make sure game 1 with 4,000 bees in the stands isn't going to, get their heart rate jumping too much.
How beneficial is this new facility for you guys?
It's been tremendous. Just since we got in there starting in September, I feel like guys are, going over to the store, getting cots and living out there now almost. It's like they're putting in some serious hours in the cage. Instead of having 2, now having 4 tunnels. It's allowing guys to get in there, especially with their class and community service, study halls and nutrition plans. It's allowing them to get in there, get their work in, and then be able to get home, get some rest. Having the weight room as well has been great for small group stuff. So our strength coach Mike has been able to keep a close eye on everybody, working on both force and velocity for each of these guys, because everyone's a little bit different, and so you got to make sure you're staying on top of them. But the auto feeders, the eye pitch has been huge. The hit tracks, is really, even my kids like coming over and hitting now. Not necessarily with me, more so with Coach Gibson or the players or something, but just to get in there, especially if it's a little chilly out or anything. But we try to spend as much time on the field because that's what's going to happen in the game. You're going to be on the field. But for the evenings or the early mornings when those guys want to get in there on their own or together, it's been tremendous. I think you just watching everyone get to walk in there every day, they come with a different sense of excitement. That this is just a beautiful hitting facility. And actually this weekend, after our annual Diamond Dinner, all the folks that helped put this place together, we're going to be celebrating them as well and sharing a lot of our gratitude, all the players and coaches, just on making this thing happen. And so it's fun. Even a lot of other coaches or administrators want to come over and see it and hop in there, and all are welcome. This is a huge thing for Oregon State University and the athletic department, and so we want guys coming over. And actually our coaching staff has been staying consistent with our workouts too, trying to keep up with the young bucks, so it's been fun.
Did you at least get the first swing in there?
No. I gotta make sure that I can hit a fungo and throw batting practice, so if I start trying to swing in there, we might be shut down for a little while.
I know Joey really dove into the defense, it took last year hard, but he self-evaluated and looked at everything. What areas would you like to see kind of improve on that side?
It's with Joey and with everyone on staff, myself included, we sit down and we don't just do it once a year. It's monthly, it's weekly, really just like how can we continue to improve. And I've encouraged the coaches to really be hard on me of where I need to make improvements and we need to do better. And in turn, I'm also going to be very tough on them. And we don't think of it like tough conversations. We just want to be honest with one another because we all want the same thing, to help these young men develop. And so talking with Joey, like, where can we make more improvements? And Joey was very adamant. I want more time talking with the guys. I can get going and try to maybe be a little too hands-on with some of the stuff, but I need to do a better job delegating some of that stuff out and knowing that they're going to get it done. And Joey's been great with our infield. Brady's been working with the outfielders. I've been with the catchers, and Dora's been doing his stuff with the pitchers. So it's like even getting involved in these small groups, and this small group time is so important because you get more reps. You get to focus on fine-tuning some of those things. Joey's been great making everything a lot more competitive. Game speed. We finish every set of defense with some kind of competitive environment. And it's fun watching guys elevate their level of focus in those moments. So, when he's not studying our opponents, he's studying our guys and prepping for practice. There's no doubt that guy puts in as much time as anyone in the country with his preparation and like his want to be the best version of himself. So Joey's, I already thought he was doing a great job last year. Anytime you're like, it's the first year with a group, it's always a little bit more difficult warming up to the guys and the guys warming up to you. But I've loved every second of what he's bringing to the table right now. And his desk is right next to mine, so we sit there early morning after we get our workout in and just shoot ideas back and forth about what the day is going to look like and what the rest of the week and month need to look like.
You think the issues were personnel or just random, it wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't quite to the status that you guys are used to,
Yeah, I mean, it's good that if we're not the best in the country, we're always going to criticize it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, I still thought our defense did a phenomenal job. I think sometimes, having the right guys in there at the right time. Jabin did a phenomenal job taking over at third base when TC was down, and that's not an easy ask for a middle guy to go play the corner because you play at a different level. And Jabe plays a little bit higher, and to be on the hot corner and handle it the way he did, that's a lot to do. I thought, outfield, infield, the catchers when they were splitting time last year, I didn't think it was bad, but we always thought that there was room for improvement in there. And then just different situations, being prepared for, the speed of the game as it develops. So it just told us we got to continue to find ways in practice to make it harder. When we hit fungos, we don't hold back as much anymore. I think it's you can always use the soft, squishy baseballs and make it a very safe environment, but sometimes you got to front flip and rip some to the corner guys or up the middle, as opposed to just wanting the generic situation. So a lot more chaos, and I think that'll help. Communication is something that we've harped on a lot. Usually when guys are, let's say for example, pitcher doesn't get the call he wanted, or someone boots a ball behind him. One of those things happen and it frustrates a lot of people. Are we doing a good job communicating, letting the guy know, I got your back, don't worry about it, we're moving on? Or are you stuck in your own little world and you have little pockets around the infield and outfield where everyone's kind of just like self-absorbed?
Letting it fester, yeah.
Yeah, and that's been a really big part of this group. Communicating why we eat breakfast together every day. It's like I walked up there this morning and I got a group of infielders sitting around chit-chatting about life and baseball, and then there's a group of outfielders and catchers sitting together. I mean, just good environments of guys mixing and mingling. And I thought Tice Peterson, Jacob Craig, how much more they're communicating this year as opposed to the past.
And they're kind of quiet guys, yeah.
They are, yeah. But I mean, not necessarily Tice, but on the field he's opened up, and even through the fall and the practice we've had, you can see him just kind of sharing his thoughts with guys and encouragement. And I complimented him on that the other day because I want that to continue as the season starts and is rolling. And we were just up in the pitching lab, and Matty Morrell, he's probably said more words in that 5 minutes of being up there than I heard all last year. And it's cool to see guys make that jump from freshman year to sophomore year. And it's almost like when they start feeling not just being a part of a program, but feeling like they are a real integral part of it.
It's like ownership.
Yes, and it's fun to see. We're sitting at the cages yesterday. We're base running at third in between our hitting rounds, and Weber grabs one of the guys, hey, you still got another round down at third. And so sometimes when guys are not like fully invested and know like what they want, and you need everyone to do it, you won't necessarily say that to someone. You're just focused on your own self.
Right.
So Weber's really opened up as well, and he's directing traffic. He's another coach on staff because he wants to win. He cares about the guys next to him, and it's cool to see their personalities really jump.
Coach, you're a sport that sometimes recruits from the junior colleges, the community colleges to your players. There's been some question about eligibility, whether those years count against their years and all of that. In the bigger picture, what's it like recruiting and roster planning in this environment when it feels like the rules are just changing all the time and so constantly? How do you approach that?
It's no different than the game of baseball. Everything can change real quick. You think you got everything figured out, and it swaps. That pitch wasn't called, it was called earlier, or the ball hit a rock and jumps a different direction. You can sit there and mope about it and go down that road, or you can take the other route and just adjust and put a smile on your face and go to work. And it's tough if we don't exactly know what it's going to be for next year. Our primary focus is being in the present. I feel like the guys that we know are going to be returning next year, pouring into these relationships. The guys that we have here right now need, a vast majority of our attention. Not to say you're not thinking about like how you're going to be recruiting down the road, but I think that we've been fairly conservative with who we go after and who we bring in here. Our next year's class, very excited about. They're tremendous young athletes. They all come from great families, and we don't really see like there being a big issue moving forward. We're gonna do everything we can to retain the guys we have because we love them. We've built great relationships. It's fun to watch them grow and help them pursue excellence. But once the season ends, you got to figure out what are those needs. And it's not just going out and bringing someone in that's good. You also got to think like the guys that we have here are going to take big jumps as well. And that's a huge part of this whole thing. But once we find out, what the roster really is starting in the fall, and then what you have to be down to, if it's the same number, if it's 34 right out the chute, that's going to have a lot of planning that goes with it. But there's not a lot we can do about it right now. And if it's starting off with a few more and then figuring it out at the end of the fall, and then we're going to have to adjust. But that's the game, that's life, constantly adjusting. But as long as we stick with our pillars and primarily doing the right thing, through each situation, and I think we'll be in a good spot.
Speaking of that, sort of attention, out of all the programs here that's had a lot of chaos with the conferences and all that stuff, you guys have been the one that's been pretty consistent and been able to avoid a lot of that chaos. What does it say about just where this program is, that even with all the conference shenanigans and whatnot, you guys will be able to maintain and bring in a lot of good talent and keep that level?
I think that's what people see exactly. How do they do it? It draws attention to what's going on at Oregon State, that and this baseball family that is keeping everybody together. I don't know. I could speak for hours about how incredible the coaching staff is here. Our student managers work their tails off. Our analytics squad are very special people and pour into this place, put just as many hours as anybody here, and they're not getting compensated to do any of that stuff. So like the level of selflessness that comes with the people involved here is incredible. But to watch the players, the world that's out there right now, obviously there's a lot of people that are trying to jump in and offer crazy amounts of money and get guys to continue to move, and it stinks. It frankly does, because again, I go back to those guys like Drew Talavs and Matty Morrell, these guys as freshmen that made such a huge jump when they walked in those doors as sophomores. Just to think if they had to go somewhere else and reset, that's an extremely difficult thing to go through, and to become themselves, and to watch what those guys are going to go out and accomplish this year. We're all thrilled for it because we've seen the jump that they made. And I don't know, it's not just talking about family, it's acting on it. And I think these guys all feel that. Guys that have been through this program, like Gavin Turley, and to watch Caraway, those guys could be highly sought after. Anyone in the country, they could probably go. Same thing with Keljo, guys that have continued to pour into this place even before they got here. And like our community, this diamond dinner that we have on Friday, it's fun to like be a part of the planning process and see all the people that are going to show up, and our guys going to be wearing their jerseys and going around and waiting tables. I want them, our players, to see how incredible these folks are. Even going to basketball games and seeing some of you guys up there like watching the games and just live in Oregon State athletics. I mean, to have that kind of environment and to be right in the middle of campus is something special. And I always thought that if someone comes here and just lives a couple days in the life of an Oregon State student athlete, it's hard to want to be anywhere else.
Who are 2 or 3 guys who really caught your eye during fall ball in terms of just making big strides?
Well, caught my eye also because of his size. Jacob Craig, he's a very large human being, so it's easy to spot him. Just how he's opened up his joy for the game and his joy for the day-to-day has transformed his at-bats, his defensive work, you name it. So he's one guy that I anticipate, really showing out for a lot of people this year. We can say Dallas Macias is going to surprise people, but to us, that's just who he is. So, I think that when it comes to draft day, he's going to make tremendous jumps. But this is a guy that we've all known, but it seems like no one else has really given him as much attention as I guess he deserves. Nelson Keljo, Dax Whitney, Ethan Kleinschmidt, Eric Segura, how much weight he's put on, just physically developed from last year as well, looking in a good spot, and a handful of other guys. I mean, I go around the horn, like I said, Wilson Weber's massive jump with just him being open and being less worried about what's happening in the hitter's box or the catcher's box, and more so focusing on what's happening on the rest of the field, And that's the one thing that we run out of in life is time. But the one thing that we need the most is time in order to mature and gain wisdom and just sharpen our skills. And that's the one thing I think that each of these guys, as you get to talk to them, you're going to see they really enjoy being around one another. And I'd say most all clubs are like that to some extent, but there's a different level because a guy who comes in like Singer, who is volunteering to teach in the classroom, our guys, his presentations and opening up, they'd rather hear from the players than the coaches presenting on stuff. And we have a lot of guys that are jumping to the forefront and wanting to lead the charge instead. It's a player-led squad right now because they all want it, and so it makes it a lot easier on us. And their camaraderie is stronger than I've seen.
In regards to catching outside of Wilson, it's basically an entirely new group. Just kind of what have you seen from that younger crop? And is Wilson going to have to be the everyday catcher, or are some of those younger guys going to split like he did with Tanner?
All very gifted. I'd say right now, Webby is the way he's swinging it, the way he's commanding the field, the way he's throwing the baseball right now, free and easy. And we all seen a lot of arm strength, but I think there's even more in there than we've seen in the past. I think he's obviously in the number one spot for that. Another guy we brought in, Bryce Hubbard, incredible bat-to-ball skills, left-handed stick, great personality, cares about all the guys next to him, and that's something just from watching him from afar over the, past year, you've seen a lot of that in him, and he's taking jumps with his bat, can really receive as well. And our 3 freshmen are physical. Serrano was one guy that left-handed bat, big guy. We've thrown around comps. Now it's early, but Trevor Larnach type trend, you can see him going there, especially with his work ethic, very similar to Trevor's, but still has a ways to go to be a Trevor Larnach, right? That guy is incredible. Vandenbrink, very physical, might be the one of, if not the strongest freshman to ever come through here. We all thought Weber was strong, and he is, but this guy moves some serious weight, and he is clean with the glove, clean with the throws, but a big bat. And a guy who I look at him like, man, this is like a Garrett Forrester type of bat with probably a little more power, but needs to hone in on a little bit more of that control the zone like Garrett had, and can really be an offensive threat. Kai Hallstad also really good behind the dish, clean with the glove, very athletic, so you won't always see him throw from the generic over-the-top slot. He'll wherever it's thrown, he's going to throw from that slot. So just free and easy, very competitive. But all three of them extremely hardworking, strong culture guys. And catching is not an easy gig, especially as a freshman. But watching how these guys evolve, their abilities with their bat and their defense, and maybe even able to move around. I mean, we got some options there.
Is Easton still?
Oh, Easton not.
Is he still dragging catcher gear around?
No, I tease him with it every now and then, see if he wants to jump back there and catch a pin or something. But focusing primarily in the outfield, which has freed him up offensively, and he's taken really big jumps. Actually, I was in there the other day. My daughter came to hit, and she's emulating Easton's stance in there too. And she goes, "What do you think?" I go, "Well, it's not a bad one right now. He's making some big jumps. So you can hit like Easton, you'll be all right." Now, running like him is different. My daughter's fast, but Easton can really scoot. She's going to have to get some sprints in to keep up with him. So, it's fun.
This independent schedule you're playing, is there excitement about a different sort of year that you're going to have as a program?
I think so. I don't mind. I always love playing, and all of us love playing at Goss because it's the greatest environment in collegiate baseball. But if we got to play on the road, have less home games throughout the regular season so that we have the opportunity to play more home games in the postseason, so be it. And going on the road will help RPI. It's not easy to create a schedule when everyone's bye weekends, they want to play at home. They're not really wanting to travel, but that was a big focus for us, is find great competition, the best competition available, for our guys. And if we have to travel, then we have to travel. And that's something that I think is a great opportunity for us to work on. Our road record was not as good as home. Okay, that's something we've identified, and now we have the opportunity to work on that and fix it if we want to go do the things that we believe we're capable of doing. So, great opportunity for us.
Hawaii,